I expect if I said, has anybody here been in turmoil of one sort or another, there wouldn't be a single person that wouldn't go, And when I was starting to think about this, I was thinking about the times of turmoil in my life. And thinking about quite often those times of turmoil have been around decisions that have needed to be made. And the should you, shouldn't you kind of thing. And what if I do and what if I don't? You know, I expect most of you have been house hunting in one form or another, a place to live, whether you're looking to buy or looking to rent, and you go and look and you can see the good points about that one, but you also see the bad, and then you go to another one and you see good points about that and the bad, and so are those good points better than those good, you know the stuff. Should I apply for that job? Should I leave the one I'm in? Should I change the car? You know, these things that can just tip us over, can't they, into turmoil, these decisions, and particularly if more than one comes along like buses at once. And sometimes the turmoil reflects times of crisis that we go through. You know, grief and loss, family illness, when we are ill, difficult diagnoses, those kinds of things. And when they come on top of difficult decisions or whatever it is that we are in, it doesn't take long for us to feel a bit out of balance, does it? Relationship breakdowns, those kinds of things can be all-consuming, and we can feel absolutely at war within ourselves as to how we think clearly and what should we do, what's the right thing to do. And as I thought about it, I thought, maybe this is true for you, that times of turmoil for me have often been a time when I look back, couldn't see it at all at the time, because you feel completely blind, don't you, when you are in a real turmoil. When I look back, often those times of turmoil were times of transition. Something changed as a result of that turmoil. Might have been something relatively small, like, you know, I changed the car. Not that that's relatively small these days, but you know what I mean. Maybe different place to live, different job, a crossroads of some sort. Or maybe the letting go of an opportunity that actually we thought had our name on it. That might be the result of the turmoil, the transition. And as I kept, kind of thinking about it, it reminded me of a time of turmoil, a particular time of turmoil in my life that lasted about 12 months, if not longer. It was quite a long, protracted thing as I think about it now. Not when I was here, it was in my previous job. And I was asked by the chair of trustees if I would consider taking on a very senior role in the organisation. And it sent me into a complete turmoil, complete upheaval. Did I want it? Should I want it? Could I do it? What if I did? What if I didn't? Was I actually capable, competent to do it? What if I took it and it all went wrong? Who would do my job, the one that I was currently doing? Would I let people down if I did? Would I let people down if I didn't? There was no peace in any direction. That's turmoil, isn't it? When it doesn't matter which way you look, you cannot seem to find peace. What did the Lord want? I had no idea. I couldn't hear him quite often in that time. And I went away. In fact, I went away twice on retreat, various kinds of retreat, 2 different places to try and hear what the Lord might want. And the first time I went on a guided retreat, which was supposed to help you work through your decision making. And it was quite helpful, but it didn't resolve the issue for me. And the next time I went away was a bit like healing space here. And the room that I was put in was called the Prophet's Chamber. And I was quite amused at that because I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm going to hear the Lord here. That would be good. And as I said, I was probably 12 months in that turmoil. And How did I find my way out? Might tell you the end of that in a minute. Let's look at scripture first. And I've gone to Proverbs chapter 3, and you'll know these verses. The first 10. Although I'm only going to talk about a couple, but these are the first 10 verses of chapter 3. My son, my daughter, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Honour the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. And it's verse 5 and 6, really. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. That's what I wanted in the midst of my turmoil. I wanted a straight path with a light shining on it, and painted along the path, this is the way, go this way, signpost. I wanted all those kinds of things that was going to say to me, this is the way. And of course, God doesn't quite work like that, does he? So what does it mean, according to these verses, to trust in the Lord with all our heart? And as always, when you look at the Hebrew, not that I'm a scholar, but I do like to look behind the word, there is so much more reflected in the underlying meaning than there is in the word that you read off the page. So with all your heart could be reflected as, with all your inner being, with your will, with your emotions, with your intuition, with your intelligence, with your imagination, with your conscience, with your understanding, with your judgment, and with your perception. Trust in the Lord with all those things. That just about covers it, doesn't it? Everything you could possibly think of is covered in that. We have to trust the Lord with every bit that we are, not with just one facet of our mind. It's not just a single perspective of how we trust God. This is multi-layered, multi-perspectives, multifaceted trust. Do I do this? I'm learning. What does it mean to trust God with my intelligence? What does it mean to trust God with my conscience? What does it mean to trust God with my imagination? Questions to ponder, I think. Each one is worth pondering. And then verse 5 says, lean not on your own understanding. Well, if all of those things are the facets with which we've got to trust God, then leaning on our own understanding is going to be a very thin stick to lean on, isn't it? Because it's only one facet of all of those things. And it literally means don't support yourself. Don't rely on yourself. Because in your own turmoil, none of your thinking is really reliable. In all your ways. In all your ways. Again, it's a bigger picture. In all your ways, in all your actions, in all your conduct, in all your paths, in all your roads, in your manner, in your mission. That just about covers life, doesn't it? It's a much bigger embracing of God and his ways than trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. So much bigger. And the truth is, if I was plunged into turmoil tomorrow, I might forget all that I've just said, because that's what happens in turmoil, isn't it? We forget the truths that we know. We default to old patterns. We default to old behaviours because they are familiar and they are ingrained in us. That's what we do when crisis hits. So how do we stop that? How do we learn to lean on God more, to rely on him? I haven't got the whole answer because I'm only learning. But I think it's something about learning these things when things are easier than when they are in crisis. We don't learn well in crisis quite often. But if we can learn to put these things in place when life is easier, learn to trust God with the simple things of life, then actually they are the things that we will begin to default to when we are in crisis. We have to build up that new way of living, of being. And what about the submitting bit? In all your ways, submit to him. Is my conscience submitted to him? My will submitted to him? Is my understanding submitted to him? My intelligence? All of those things, are they submitted to him? Some, maybe, a little bit. But this is asking for the whole caboodle, isn't it? The whole shebang, the whole lot. Or do I default to the, I've got this, Lord, I've got this, I can do this, don't need your help in that particular thing today? I know my answer to that question. In all your ways, in everything, in the easy times as well as in the turmoil times, the small decisions as well as the big ones, and he will make your paths straight. Which is not the same as I've made my plans and will you bless them, Lord? This is like laying out your plans and saying, these are the possibilities, Lord. Show me which one you've got your hand on. It's a different thing. It's a very different thing. And you know, sometimes when turmoil hits, we just have to sit in the discomfort of it for a bit. We always want to be out of it, don't we? But actually the discomfort, the limbo of it can have much to teach us if we give God the opportunity. So how did I finish my story? Well, in the second place, the first place I went to that had this program of working through actually was really helpful. I learned a lot of things, but it didn't give me the direction I was seeking. So then I went away to a different place and had a retreat like this. And I went and sat in the garden under a tree, looked at the lake with my notebook on my lap. And there was a conversation that went something a bit like this. What do you want me to do, Lord? Do you want me to take this job? Remembering I've been in 12 months of turmoil about this. And he said, do you want it? And I said, don't think I do. And he said, That's all right then. And I said, but what if I did? And he said, that would be different. Simple as that. Do you want it? And sometimes that actually is the question God asks us. Do you want it? Don't think I do. That's okay.